Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Sunday morning. Well, let's get an update of what's going on in New York. With us today is Stephen Fulop, and he's the new president and CEO of the New York City Partnership, the most powerful one in the city and in the country, representing 300 of the top companies in New York City. Well, Steve, are you getting your feet wet?
Yeah, it's been going well. Although it's a trial by fire, getting thrown into the deep end here, however you want to frame it. It's been interesting just because of the tax environment and some of the conversation coming out of City Hall.
So, are we doing better, or what do you think is going on? Tell me. I mean,
look,
there's music playing in Washington, there's music playing in Albany, and there's music playing at City Hall, and there's different music playing at City Council. So can you sort it out for us?
Yeah, let me start by saying that I think all of those agree that we have a very, very fragile economy. You see indicators on the national front, and you see indicators certainly in New York City. And you could say that last year's economic data being kind of touch and go was a result of maybe a mayoral election with a socialist mayor, maybe it was tariffs, maybe it was AI, maybe it was all of it. But the first couple months of this year has continued with the up and downs and the concerns. So we have a city hall that's now proposed, 4 types of taxes in 2 months. We've had a income tax at $500,000. We've had an income tax at $1 million. We've had a real estate tax, and we've had a corporate tax. And that type of rhetoric scares away investment, as you know, and we're doing our best to push back on it. But some of the socialists involved here, seem to think that taxes is the only solution.
Well, I was on Fox Business on Friday, and I was on Forbes magazine interviewed me, and I said, I don't want to. And the New York Times interviewed me, and I said, I don't want to move out of New York. I love New York, and they were testing me on the sensitivity of the taxes. I said, well, look, I'm in a position where it doesn't bother me because of my position. But a lot of upper middle class people, I think the problem is they may leave. What do you think?
I think that's true. I think that, you don't need a lot of the super wealthy people to leave to have a huge impact on the budget. So when people say, oh, everybody's going to stay, or they're bluffing, all you need is a handful. And the reality is at the top bracket, you're more than 55% of your income goes towards the government. So basically the government's the majority partner without doing the majority of the work. And to most successful people, they would say that's a formula that doesn't work. What you said about people that make $500,000 or $250,000, it's very, very hard to raise a family in New York City. There's no question about the affordability crisis, but you need to grow paychecks and grow jobs in order to create better opportunities. If you squeeze people out and the budget continues to get constrained, then you're going to see more people leaving, and the spiral downward will only continue.
I agree with you 100%. Now, you also represent all the major banks in New York, and
Yep.
And they have all the major banks that you represent. How many employees they have? A million?
So we have 800,000 employees, and the reality is that when you talk to these CEOs, there's several of them that are actively in conversations with regards to growing in Texas. Several of them have said non-publicly that they're not going to add any new jobs in New York, and this is all byproduct of kind of the rhetoric. People like to invest where there's stability, when they can predict what's going to happen. It doesn't need to be a perfect environment, but having some visibility into what's going to happen or what may happen is important. Now, when you have people talking about income taxes and then lower income taxes and property taxes and corporate taxes, it creates uncertainty and people won't invest, which is very dangerous for New York.
I understand. And, we're in the building business, and I think I've said this to you before. We can build 99 apartments in New York City, and once you go above 99, it becomes unfeasible. So, I'm scratching my head what we should do. Maybe we should leave the land empty and worry about it later.
I was the mayor of Jersey City for 12 years, and you look across the river and you'll see those big buildings. We're building 60 stories, 70 stories. And the reason that we build like that, and I'll point as a side note that during the campaign, candidate Mamdani used to talk about Jersey City and Tokyo as models for growth. And the reason we were able to build it is because we prioritized housing growth. And we said, you know what, the community givebacks are important. Union jobs, of course, are important. Making some affordable are important. But, business people like yourself make decisions based on math. And at some point, those projects can't support all of those things. And so you got to make choices. If your objective is to grow housing, that needs to be the majority of what you push for. And other things might have to go by the wayside that might be sounding good politically, but ultimately are just unaffordable. And those are sometimes things that sound good, like community givebacks or 100% union labor. If the goal is building housing, we need to prioritize building housing. And what you just said on 99 units versus 100 units is a huge problem in New York City, that developers find it economically advantageous to build 99 units because they're not beholden to all these other rules around union labor and different sort of obligations. It's a problem. It's a problem.
By the way, we just broke ground of building another tower in Florida because a lot less restrictions.
Yeah. I mean, uncertainty in this type of language is very good for real estate brokers in Miami. There's no question about it. But
now, last question, because we're almost out of time. Last question: do you have good communications with City Hall, with the City Council in Albany?
Yes. Well, all three. Yes. Are
they listening? Do they understand the problems?
I think the City Council, the Speaker, has been great. She understands it. She's coming to the partnership to speak to a huge group of CEOs on Monday, as a matter of fact. And, the governor's been strong. City Hall has a different philosophy as it relates to taxes. So we just got to continue to be public and educate and push the narrative.
Steve Fulop, President, CEO of the New York City Partnership, thank you for the update. And we'll talk again real soon, and let's hope for progress.
Thank you, John.
This is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.